Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here and welcome to our first episode of SWE Throwdown after our first SWE Throwdown pay-per-view. Of course, Second City Showdown was a few days ago, and tonight we not only build up to our next pay-per-view, but we come down from what happened the other night. What is this? We've just cut to backstage and it looks like there's a brawl going on between Bruiser Brody and Haku. Of course, Bruiser Brody is the current hardcore champion. We do have the 24/7 rule in place. So, is Haku challenging for the hardcore belt here? It looks like he is. Of course, the way that the game works, backstage brawls are going to have an ending of knockout. So you only win the hardcore championship by knockout in this situation. In normal matches, of course, it will be by pinfall as normal, but that's the rules of this type of match. Wow, Bruiser Brody, what a right hand that is. And of course, Brody only won the hardcore championship, like I said, only a few days ago. And already Haku is trying to take that belt away from him. Brody now in control of Haku, just launched him around the backstage area. And Haku might be severely regretting some of his decisions here. Brody now bringing Haku up to his feet and again launched him this time into the steel barrier. Haku fighting back there with the elbow. Taking Bruiser Brody up into a big power slam there. Will we see a brand new hardcore champion already? This is the one belt I don't mind so much being a hot potato. Same over on Mayhem as well. The hardcore championship is always renowned for changing hands quite often. However, I don't want two of the other belts changing hands too often. But this one, with the 24/7 rule especially, anybody can challenge for the belt at any time. We can see anybody go after this. We really could. Bruiser Brody now has himself a trash can right to the head of Haku. Brody now slamming the knee of Haku into the mat as well. Brody taking Haku up in the locker room area. Oh, pile driver. A pile driver by Bruiser Brody to Haku in the locker room area. Now sending Haku into one of those little... Oh my god, what is Bruiser Brody up to here? Taking Haku up. Oh, I just powerbombed him into one of the little changing room area. Oh god, this is brutal. And how is this match not finished yet as well? That's the crazy thing. Haku fighting back as well, just to add even more craziness into the mix. Taking Brody up. Oh, he did. He got him through the table. Haku putting Bruiser Brody through the table. It was a difficult angle to see exactly what happened there. Now sending Brody back to... Oh no, Brody comes fighting back though. Say Haku taking Brody out of the locker room, but Brody ploughing back in now. Haku taking Bruiser Brody up into a powerbomb. Wow, what a brutal backstage brawl this is between these two guys. Haku now has the briefcase right to the back of Brody. I hope that's not my briefcase. I did leave it in the backstage area, but I'm sure I'll put it in the office, not the locker room. Haku now bringing Brody back up, takes him in for pile driver. But still, these two guys still continue to battle in the backstage area. This is craziness. Hang on a minute, are they watching Monday Night Raw backstage? We'll have to have a word with our talent here, PJ Toby. They're watching the rival programming while appearing on ours. I'm not happy about that. Brody now again taking Haku up for the power driver. Oh. And this one is dead and buried. Looks like Bruiser Brody is keeping hold of his hardcore championship. Well done, Bruiser Brody. And what a start to his hardcore championship reign. And here is our first official match of the evening. I may have made a slight miscalculation with the card. Haku is going to be joining the Guerillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaroa, as they face off against the Giants, Andre the Giant and the Big Show. I don't know what sort of state Haku's going to be in after that beating backstage, but we'll find out. He's obviously put his hair in cornrows now, so I can't believe I put 2 matches in a row. Oh, what such a basic error. A basic booking error there by Shabby Gamer. And here we go. So the basis behind this match is that we are going to do a little bit of a tag team tournament. I'd say a little bit because it is literally only 4 teams involved. We've got this team here. A team, of course, I put together recently, the Giants. Accompanied by their manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Who's around there, he is in the background. We're also going to see, of course, Guerillas of Destiny here this evening with Haku, if he's in any state to join us. And in a couple of weeks' time, we're also going to see... Oh, no, sorry, it's next week time. Next week, of course, we're going to see the Hart Foundation, which is Jim the Anvil Neidhart and the British Bulldog taking on the Ascension. So, essentially, it's 4 tag teams that haven't had a championship match yet. The only other ones that we've got laying around are the Primetime Players, the Outsiders, and the Natural Disasters, and, of course, the current tag team champions in Red Dragon. So, these are the 4 teams that have not really had an opportunity as of yet, and one of these 4 teams will go on to face off against Red Dragon at our very next pay-per-view, known simply as Empire, I believe. I think Empire is going to be the name. Oh, Haku is around. He's had a quick change. Looks like he's feeling a bit better after that brutal beating by Bruiser Brody backstage. I can't believe I did that. I really can't. The problem is now I can't change it, because once you start a show on 2K17, you can't amend anything. So yeah. Let's just pretend, right? Let's just pretend that that happened earlier on today. There we go, that'd be fine, wouldn't it? See, I want to learn how to create our own wiki for this, because I like the blogger page, but I feel like a wiki would be a great way of doing it. I don't know how you do it, though. I really don't know how you do it. I want to create my own wiki. I've done the planning, I know what I want to do it on. I don't understand what any of this means. I want to create my own one from scratch. For educational and academic, no, I don't want that. I don't know, I'll have to have a look into it, because I think it'd be better if we can go, like if I can create pages for each of the individual, and that would take me a long time, but if I can create pages for the individual wrestlers and say, have Bruiser Brody down as one-time SWE Throwdown Hardcore Champion, or CM Punk as 2-time Mayhem Champion and so forth, then it'll be, I'm basically doing what the game does, but it'll be taking over a longer period of time. And this could be a tricky one, this, for the Guerillas of Destiny. Of course, the Giants are very, very big, hence the name Giants, I suppose. And that could really throw it in their favour. Because normally the Guerillas of Destiny do sort of hold a strength and a size advantage over a lot of their opponents, and here that's just not going to happen. And I think a lot of it might end up with what happens outside of Haku and Bobby Heenan as well. I like having Bobby Heenan here, you know. We don't utilise managers enough, but I think Bobby Heenan in this universe mode is a really good idea. I don't know, what other managers are there? Can we use anyone else? WWE... Nope. Not clicked on it. WWE 2K17 managers. Okay. Who else is on here? Anyone useful? Anyone useful at all? Oh, you go on a wiki, okay. Bobby Heenan, Lana, Mr. McMahon, Paul Heyman, Stephen Mann, Ted DiBiase. Is that it? Really? Wow, there's not many managers, is there? There's no Jimmy Hart, no Mr. Fuji. Like the classic managers, they're not really there, are they? And I don't understand why they put Ted DiBiase on the game as a manager, but still just not make him available for use, because they've obviously put his model on the game. Why not just allow us to use him as a wrestler? I don't know. These crazy people that design video games. They're crazy. Andre's in firm control here of the Guerillas of Destiny. And, of course, the Giants did actually win their first match a couple of weeks back in a dark match. It was against the Natural Disasters. That's why I gave them the opportunity here. So basically, I've got Guerillas of Destiny, I've got Hart Foundation. 2 teams that have yet to have an opportunity at the Tag Team Championships, but 2 very strong teams. I've also got the Ascension and I've got the Giants, and this is solely because both of those teams won matches on the previous 2 weeks in dark matches against the likes of the Natural Disasters and the Primetime Players. So in fairness, if either the Giants or Ascension get to the pay-per-view to face off against Throwdown's champions Red Dragon, then they would have won 3 matches in a row to get there, which will definitely give them a lot of massive momentum. And I don't even know if Red Dragon have that much. I think they do actually, didn't they? Because Red Dragon, did they wrestle? I don't think they did actually. Yes, Red Dragon defeated the Hart Foundation on week 2 of Throwdown, and then Red Dragon defeated, of course, the Outsiders at the pay-per-view. So Red Dragon have won 2 matches so far in a row, which is obviously helping pretty well with their ranking score and their momentum in this universe mode as well. So it's going pretty well for them at the moment, I think. Bloody recorder, didn't they? There you go. Tama Tonga there with a Bulldog taking down the Big Show. And of course we are using retro Big Show from when he was actually quite accomplished in the ring back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when he could actually do some wrestling moves. He's not bad now. Now that he's lost a bit of weight and he's done a lot of work, he's actually looking a lot better and he's wrestling a lot better as well, but still, he's nowhere near what he was back in these days. There's Tangaroa there with the alley-oop style maneuver there, now dropping a headbutt into the chest of the Big Show. And we've been talking about dark matches. We have had a couple here this evening, and Eric Rowan has picked up another victory. That's 2 wins in 3 weeks in dark matches for him, this time against the Big Boss Man. So that'd be interesting to see if we might have to do something with Eric Rowan, give him an opportunity. Maybe hardcore could be Eric Rowan's thing. We've also seen Natalya pick up a victory in a triple threat match against Eve Marie and Dana Brooke, as Tangaroa now taking Big Show up on his shoulders. There's the Samoan drop on the Big Show. There's the pin. Referee, my God, you're slow. The referee took so long to get round there that Andre the Giant was able to enter the ring and run the whole way around and break up the pin before the referee got to a 1 count. That was awful. Other matches we have for you this evening. Next up we have Cactus Jack taking on Dean Ambrose in a hardcore match. After that we're going to see Samoa Joe taking on Bray Wyatt in what is going to be a United States Championship #1 contendership match. Later on we have Triple H taking on Randy Orton. Interesting one this. Of course at the pay-per-view we had Triple H versus Orton versus Bret Hart. Triple H didn't... What was happening there? Triple H did not last very long in that match. The match lasted all of a few minutes, and Bret Hart got the victory. Randy Orton is not happy with the fact that he has lost 5 ranking points because of Triple H just not being with it and losing out there. So that's a bit of a weird one. So that's going to be tonight as well. And our main event of the evening, as promised, a bit of a weird one. Talking of weird, there's a little bit of friction here between Andre the Giant and the Big Show. Andre dropping off the apron, not accepting the tag, but not quite sure whether that's yeah. Heenan seems to have them back on page now. Heenan getting Andre back on the apron. I think Heenan is very much the glue that holds this tag team together. Yeah, our main event, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Well, I don't feel very good about this one, to be honest. But I did promise it at the pay-per-view, and like I've said before, I'm not going to change what the game gives us. If the game gives us a result, that is the result we will take, unless it is a glitched result. So this evening in our main event will be Bret Hart versus Roman Reigns, and the winner will be the #1 contender for the Throwdown Championship. Yeah, I know. I apologise. I apologise for that. But to make up for it, next week we've got CM Punk versus Austin Aries in the main event. That's to make up for it. I don't know. I might have been a bit harsh. I said in the draft, you know, I said I have got plans for Roman Reigns, and those plans are going to come into fruition going forward. And hopefully, I can make a Roman Reigns in this universe mode that we're all interested to see what happens with. And we are going to see a lot of Roman Reigns, I'm going to say, over the next 4 or 5 weeks on Throwdown. So I apologise in advance, but please give it time. I do have an idea, and hopefully the idea will justify his involvement. Tangaroa slamming the arm of Andre the Giant into the mat, and Big Show's struggling there. You see Bobby Heenan just trying to give Big Show a little bit of information, a little bit of advice there. But now the Guerillas of Destiny are seriously on top of Andre the Giant. You've got to think that the longer this match goes, it might favour the Guerillas of Destiny, just because the smaller guys probably got a better stamina level than the Big Show and Andre maybe have. But Big Show and Andre have the chance of always hitting that big impactful move just like that. Look at this. Andre the Giant is live on Throwdown, making his debut on TV on Throwdown as well. Already picked up a tag victory a few weeks ago, like I said, against Natural Disasters. Now here they are looking to back that up with a second victory in 3 weeks, which would put them through to the finals of this Champions Tag Team Championship tournament. They've done it! My God, they've done it! Andre the Giant pins Tama Tonga, and Andre the Giant and the Big Show are going on to the final to face off against the winner of the Hart Foundation and the Ascension. Wow. You know what? This tag team of the Giants definitely seems like it is effective. I like it. But that's another loss for Guerillas of Destiny. That's 2 losses they've had now from 2 matches. That's going to not do very well for them. I wonder if we might see Tama Tonga and Tangaroa maybe at some point heading off in some singles matches. Tama Tonga has appeared in the G1 Climax, I believe. I don't think he obviously didn't do fantastically well, but put on some very good matches in the G1 Climax. And you know what? I'm not disappointed by this. I think this tag team of Andre the Giant, the Big Show, and Bobby Heenan has a chance to do a lot here on Throwdown. And I just like the Bobby Heenan factor. I like it. I really do. And maybe that's what's bringing these 2 guys to the forefront. That's 2 wins in the matter of 3 weeks for the Giants now. And if they make that 3 wins in a couple of weeks' time, they'll be going on to SWE Empire. I still don't like Empire. Yeah, I'll figure something out. And here's our next match. A bit of a dream match for some, including myself as well. It's going to be a hardcore match between Cactus Jack and Dean Ambrose. And here we go. I don't think either of these guys... Sorry, I'm having a drink there. I don't think either of these guys have done necessarily fantastically well so far, have they? Cactus Jack has had 1 appearance so far, and that was a Fatal 4-Way hardcore match at Second City Throwdown, which he lost. Dean Ambrose has had 1 appearance as well, which was a triple threat match against Baron Corbin and Kane, which of course Kane won. So it's not been the best of times for both these guys, but one of them has the chance now to turn it around, get themselves 5 points back on the board, which will put them back up to the round 100, but the other will drop down to 90, which is not good for them at all. And that's what I want to see. I want to see as we go on, we'll start to put people together in matches that are going to affect the rankings quite strongly. We're not going to put together like top of the rankings versus bottom of the rankings, because it won't really do anything apart from obviously building up the higher guys. So we might do that every now and again, but I think we're going to stick to stuff like this where we know it's going to be a big difference. And that's what I like, because as time goes on, we will get to a point where the rankings are a lot more open, because at the moment, of course, after 2 or 3 weeks, they're not that open. There's a lot of people that are still on the same amount of points, and I would like to change that. I would like to mix it all up a little bit, and that's what's going to happen as we go further and further and further in. We're in this for the long run, and like I've said before, we will be keeping the ranking points when we move into 2K18. However, anybody new comes in will start on 100 points. Anybody who comes in, anybody who stays in will keep their current ranking points from here. So it's a great chance for any of these guys to build up a massive advantage as some of the new guys that will be entering in 2K18. The likes of, I'm going to assume, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, Cassius Ohno, Aleister Black, maybe, I'm hoping so. Maybe DLC Aleister Black. Andrade Cien Almas, No Way Jose, Sanity altogether. A lot of really good names, actually. I'm really excited for the roster reveal, which is generally around about SummerSlam. It's normally the SummerSlam weekend they start to talk about it. It was for the last few years. It was always the SummerSlam weekend that they would actually announce the roster. And then last year, of course, they changed it and started doing those pictures, which was quite cool. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I would like to know who's going to be on the roster straight away, so obviously we can start to plan our draft, and that's what I like to do. I like to start planning out the draft and getting everything ready, trying to book in with PJ Tovey to try and pull him away from his family to try and do another draft when 2K18 comes out, you know, the simple stuff. And this match is straight to the outside. Now, I don't know what we feel with Ambrose. I'm not quite sure if I'm... I used to be a massive Ambrose fan. I'm not going to lie. I used to be a massive Ambrose fan. I was always someone who thought that Ambrose was by far the best member of the Shield. And as time's gone on, I've become incredibly bored with Ambrose. And to be honest, I'm becoming quite bored with Rollins now as well. Because the pair of them just don't seem to have evolved very much. I think Rollins needs to go back heel. Maybe Ambrose back heel. You know what? They could go at this point in time with all three guys on Raw. They could go with a super heel faction of the Shield. The Shield reunion, all as heels, could really work. At the moment, the Shield are all playing face characters, maybe not necessarily very well. Of course, in the situation of Roman Reigns, face is not working for him whatsoever. Ambrose is being booed while... oh, headlock driver there. That used to be the old Dirty Deeds. Ambrose is being booed while The Miz is getting over, and and Seth still gets cheered. He always will get cheered, especially by the ladies, because he's quite a looker, old Seth. And as a wrestler, I think he's just gone a little bit off the boil, and I think a heel Shield at this point in time would be fantastic. Maybe going against a few good guys. I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure what they might have in mind. There's not many faces on Raw that you can really... Can you imagine? Oh, can you imagine a heel Shield versus a face Balor Club? Finn Balor, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson versus Dean Ambrose. Oh, I'm just thinking of it now. Oh, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns as a heel. That'd be fantastic. Or even the other way around would be half decent. I'd feel like the guys in the Shield need the they need to be freshened up. I think Gallows and Anderson... See, the thing is, Gallows and Anderson could be fantastic faces because they're full of charisma. They've got fantastic comedy timing, the two of them. And, yeah, I just feel like they could work really, really well as a face. That whole thing they did before with the New Day, where they did... where they, inverted commas, broke Big E's testicles, is what they were telling people. They're doing the whole doctor things with Dana Brooke. I thought that was great. I really did. And it shows their versatility and how good they are at doing stuff like that. But unfortunately, they haven't been given much more of that, have they, really? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how things go. As this match is still on the outside, of course, it is an Extreme Rules match, so it means that pinfalls and submissions only will finish inside the ring. So these two guys just trying to weaken each other down while being out here. We've not seen a lot of luck with weapons so far. The weapons have come out, but I don't really think they've had much of a chance to use them. The other member of the match has always been quite well aware of what is happening around them. I like Cactus, I really do. I want to see Cactus do well in this universe mode, and I don't want to define him solely as a hardcore as well. Cactus is one of the guys I see, like, for example, Haku, in my opinion, I don't see doing much else but the hardcore division. Same with Abdullah the Butcher. Bruiser Brody, I'm tempted with a couple of ideas I've got. But Cactus, as in, I don't want to be defined, and it's good like that because I think we're gonna sort of float a few people around here and there, which I think will work quite nicely. As I hate the fact they fall over after like 3 or 4 footsteps. That does always annoy me. Ambrose then now throwing Cactus Jack back into the ring. Of course, both these guys will be looking to try and impress the hardcore champion as well as myself as well. But of course they know it is 24/7 rule, so either these two guys could attack Bruiser Brody and go for that hardcore championship as Ambrose now locks the arms. Dirty Deeds on Cactus Jack. There's the pin. 1, 2, and Cactus kicks out. Ambrose can't believe it. Of course, we are considering a Tournament of Death style pay-per-view pretty soon. It won't be a proper pay-per-view, it will be a special. There'll be no championships on the line. It will just be solely to be known as the first ever King of the Death match in SWE, which I have started. You'll find it in the comment section down below, along with the other blogger pages. I have created a separate one, which is just called the home page, and on that one is where I intend to keep a lot of these results. So King of the Death match winners, King of the Ring winners, Queen of the Ring potentially as well, King of the Cruiserweights. Oh, I like that. The king of the cruiserweights. Ambrose once again locking in a double arm DDT, and there it is. A second Dirty Deeds. Cactus Jack busted open, and surely that's enough to get Dean Ambrose his first victory in SWE, and it is indeed. And Cactus gets 2 losses in the space of 2 episodes of Throwdown. That is bad for him. He needs to turn things around. Maybe squash matches could be in his future to try and get him up a little bit. I'm feeling Cactus Jack versus Bo Dallas has to happen. Cactus Jack versus Bo Dallas. Where are we? Cactus. Dean Ambrose with a victory. So Dean Ambrose gets himself back up to 100 ranking points. Cactus Jack, of course, dropping down to 90 now. 2 losses, 2 -5s. 1 loss for Ambrose, 1 victory, -5 +5. Keeps him at the 100 mark, which means he's now 2 matches ahead of Cactus Jack. So that's the sort of thing that these guys will be trying to do as well. Just pull themselves ahead of the pack. And we will see Ambrose again in a couple of weeks' time. It is a dark match, actually, but... Yo, it's a dark match, but I might switch it round because it is really good. I've got penciled in Dean Ambrose versus Scott Hall, but potentially I want to see that on the main show. 5-time, 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 5-time. And here we go, our next match of the evening. It is our United States Championship #1 contendership match as Bray Wyatt takes on Samoa Joe. This is going to be a really interesting one, this. Why is it not got... There we go. I had to press the button twice. Yeah, really interesting one, this. It's it could really go either way. I don't think that anyone is necessarily stronger than the other. It really is, for me, it's quite even. I think maybe Joe might be more experienced. But you never can write old... Yeah, you can never quite write off old Bray Wyatt, can you? I do like Bray Wyatt. The thing is, I quite like the dark aspect of wrestling. I've always liked it, really, and I was always a fan of The Undertaker and Kane. Then over in Lucha Underground, I like Mil Muertes. Used to like Vampiro and Sting over on WCW. I've always had something for this darker character. I like Sanity as well, and there's just something about Bray Wyatt that just brings me in. And I like it. I do like it. And he's got an opportunity here to prove himself. And in fairness, does he deserve this opportunity? Probably not. What has he done so far? He's been in 1 match so far, which is the Fatal 4-Way #1 contendership match, and he lost it for the Throwdown Championship. So far he's had 1, lost 1. And this is his chance to turn it around. But then again, it's the same for Samoa Joe. He's had 1 match, he's lost. What is he doing with his shoulders? Where's Bray's neck gone? And of course, here comes Samoa Joe then. Again, a man that... I just breathed in loads of air. That sounded stupid. I breathed in air and it made me cough, but you know, you'll know what I mean if you've done it yourself. Yeah, Samoa Joe is just a big bad mother trucker, isn't he, really? He is the man who could take that belt away. Can you imagine the match of Samoa Joe versus Luke Harper? That'd be pretty brutal. Especially the United States Championship. Oh, Bray Wyatt versus Luke Harper. Have I got all 3 members? I have, you know, haven't I? We split up the Wyatt family, and I've got Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman all on the same roster. Interesting. I didn't do that on purpose, I promise, but... Do I want to see the Wyatt family back together? Not really, no. I don't mind the Wyatt family as a stable, but I just don't want to see them as a tag team, because for me, Eric Rowan's fine in the tag team division. I don't mind that at all, but for me, Luke Harper, Braun Strowman, and Bray Wyatt are a bit ahead of that. It's possible we could do something along them sort of lines. We could do it, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, really. And here we go. Now, I do apologise if there's a dodgy cut there. I'm having some real problems with this match. There's always, every single episode, there's always that one match that just does not go the way you want it to. And this has been that one. We've had 2 double countouts. We've had a dodgy disqualification. We've had a computer glitch. We've had my controller cut out half through the match and it frees the PlayStation. It's just been one of those. It really has been one of those. But I must admit, in every single one of those matches that I've been going through for the last 2 hours trying to record this one match, Bray Wyatt has been demolishing Samoa Joe. He really has, and I think it would be unfortunate for Bray if he doesn't win this one now, because of how much he has been in control. And I wonder, you know, just like Dean Ambrose earlier on, we were discussing the potential of Hardcore Championship. Do you reckon that Bray Wyatt could also be put into that pigeonhole? Do you reckon Hardcore Championship could be something that Bray would suit? And I think he probably would suit it, to be honest. As he's just dropping Samoa Joe in that gutbuster across his knee. As Wyatt now just choking Joe down. And what? It's Tama Tonga. Of course, we saw him earlier on in a losing effort against the Giants. Well, it took me... It's been a long time since that happened, of course, for me. But and now here he is out here at ringside. I'm not quite sure why he's out here at ringside. He seems to be pretty happy with the job that Samoa Joe's doing. Is Tama Tonga supporting Joe here? It just seems that way, doesn't it? Maybe there's some sort of alliance. I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It makes no sense why Tama Tonga would just randomly come out here during the match. It is weird. But since Tama Tonga has come out, Joe's been on the receiving end of quite a beating by Bray. But just as I was saying that, Joe does turn it around. Now raining the elbows into the forehead of Bray Wyatt. Into the pin he goes. One. Only one count. So what sort of effect is Tonga going to have at ringside then, if any? Is it just there for moral support, or is he here? He could just be here scouting, potentially. Of course, I was just mentioning about Bray Wyatt being part of the hardcore division. Maybe Tama Tonga, on behalf of his father, Haku, scouting potential talent here. Ooh, big shoulder block there by Bray Wyatt on the outside. It looks like we're getting into that sort of danger again of potential double countouts. Oh, Bray breaking free from a potential dragon suplex on the outside. Bray slides back in. Well, can Joe get back in the ring? Referees count. Joe, run! Run, Joe! I think Joe just made it then for a 10. My God. Just showing how stupid this game is there. Joe was at a 9 count, just casually walks back to the ring like he's got all the time in the world. Joe now bringing Wyatt back up to his feet. Into the corner he goes. Ooh. Oh, Joe. Oh, big kick to the back of the head. I thought he might be lining up for a muscle buster then, but went for the shoulder block and the kick in the head instead in the corner. Well, of course, one of Joe's signature maneuvers. And Joe's going to follow with a Shining Wizard to the back of the head of Bray Wyatt as well. And Joe in firm control of this match. The first time I've seen that, actually, in this recording session. Of course, like I said, the last 5 I bloody recorded. Bray's been very, very strong and dominated the majority of it. So maybe things going in Joe's favour here. Maybe we needed Joe to win just to get the game to start working again. I don't think the game's quite that dodgy, but there you go. Joe just slapped Bray Wyatt. And a snap suplex as well, rolls straight into the pin. 1. Only a 1 count, wow. Bray telling Joe there with that 1 count, you have to do a lot more than that. And that's, the thing is, of course, you can stay down for a 2, there's no reason why not, but by kicking out at a 1, it just gives you that little mental aspect to your opponent, showing, look, I'm nowhere near being beaten yet. And you do really get in your opponent's head by kicking out that early. Although you do probably waste a little bit of energy that you could have retained for doing something else. But it's a good little mental advantage over your opponent. Joe now big boots the face of Bray Wyatt. And Bray is busted open, profusely bleeding from the forehead. And Joe looking like he's looking for the kill. But Bray Wyatt's seen his own blood. Seems to be actually spurring him on more than anything. Bray now taking Joe up onto that top rope. Joe fighting back there with a back elbow right in the forehead. And Joe now, oh, spinning heel kick off the top by Samoa Joe on Bray Wyatt. Now Joe just dropping back into the corner, just stalking his grounded opponent. Of course, it's normally what Bray Wyatt likes to do, back into that corner and hit up a good old crab walk. Joe now, German suplex. Oh, keeps the grip and rolls the hip into a dragon suplex. And again, keeps the grip and rolls through into a straight jacket German and bridges for the pin. 1, 2, and Joe has done it. That combination of suplexes is enough for Samoa Joe to make his way to our next pay-per-view, Empire, as the #1 contender for the United States Championship. And Tama Tonga looks incredibly happy with that as well. Weird. I don't know what the situation is here between Tama Tonga and Samoa Joe, but they seem to have some sort of mutual understanding. Again, say Tama Tonga's father Haku looking to fight it out in that hardcore division, take control of that hardcore division. He tried to win the belt, of course, earlier on here this evening, but was unable to. And there you go, there's that straight jacket German with the bridge that won in the match. And there we go. So Samoa Joe books his place against Luke Harper at SWE Empire for the United States Championship. The Empire Strikes Back. It's going to end up being Empire Strikes Back. Ah, screw it. Why not? Why not rip off a little bit of copyright? Empire Strikes Back. That's going to be our next pay-per-view. And here is our next match of the evening. It is going to be Randy Orton taking on Triple H. And here we go. Now, of course, this is an interesting one. This is solely based on what happened at Second City Throwdown. That's a loud binging noise my computer's just made. Great, isn't it? Of course, Randy Orton unhappy. The events at Second City Throwdown. It was Randy Orton versus Triple H versus Bret Hart in a triple threat match. The winner, of course, of that match, Bret Hart, is now in tonight's main event to fight out for the Throwdown Championship. And of course, the losers also lost 5 ranking points as well. Randy Orton's unhappy the fact that he was not pinned in that match. Of course, it was Triple H who was pinned, and Triple H wasn't necessarily pinned after taking a lot of moves as well. Triple H had really not taken much. I'm surprised that Triple H did stay down for the 3 count as early as he did. And Randy Orton is also very surprised and not very happy that he has been punished for Triple H's inadequacies, as he says. And he wants to prove it here tonight, and he also wants to get those 5 ranking points back that he lost at the pay-per-view to put himself back up to the round 100 mark. And of course, Triple H just wants to defend his honour, I suppose. Of course, both these guys know each other quite well from their time in Evolution together, and of course, the demise of Evolution and the feud that ensued. And also, they, of course, realigned a couple of years ago when Batista retired. Batista retired. Blue-tista. Good old Blue-tista. When he returned for his absolute facepalm run, where they decided that while Daniel Bryan was the hottest thing going in wrestling at the time, it was a good idea to bring back in inverted commas, he's not a legend, is he? Bring back a main event guy from 10 years beforehand and just gift him a WrestleMania match. And it never really worked, did it really at all? And the thing is, I get frustrated with Triple H. I'm fine with Triple H most of the time, right? Because he's done fantastic work with NXT, and he always likes to try and push the wrestling over anything else, but I don't know what control he has over his WrestleMania schedule. I'm assuming he has an incredible amount of control over WrestleMania schedule. So the last few years, of course, this year he faced off against one of the hottest stars in WWE, Seth Rollins. Last year, was last year Sting? I think it might have been, wasn't it? Last year, Sting, Undertaker and Sting. The recorder's gone again. Is it back on? Are we looking okay? Was that... Did you see that, or was that just me? I'm not quite sure what's... I'm going to close some stuff down in the background, because I'm not quite sure what's slowing this down. Right, I'm going to shut that. And I'm going to shut that. And I'm going to shut Steam. I don't know why I've got Steam open anyway, to be honest. Has that smoothed out? I think that's going to... We may have seen a little glitch there, but it might be okay now, hopefully. It looks like it's just running smoother. Yeah, so it's annoying me because everyone sort of wants certain matches for Mania, and we're really getting different ones. And like I said, Daniel Bryan was the hottest thing in WWE at that time, and he was scheduled for a match 1-on-1 with Triple H at WrestleMania. And again, why do people want to see that match? The match that I was desperate to see that year, and the match that never happened because CM Punk left that year, I was desperate to see Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk at the main event of WrestleMania. And I've said this before a few times. New Japan, right? For example, New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom, in my opinion, has been the best pay-per-view for the last 3 or 4 years running. The best annual pay-per-view, the best annual show put on by any wrestling company. Now, what do New Japan do? They get their main show of the year, and they put their 2 best wrestlers in the ring together to fight for their main championship. What did WWE do? They fish out 2 random guys who are old, decrepit. No one's got barely any interest in anymore, and to the point where they can't even put them as a main event because it'd be too embarrassing. And that's the one thing I don't understand. I don't know why they do it. I don't know why they just don't make the matches that make sense. I was desperate to see Joe versus Punk. Not Joe versus Punk, sorry. Punk versus Bryan, because those were the 2 best guys in the wrestling company at the time, and I don't think they'd ever faced each other at a major pay-per-view, and it would have been a fantastic match. But instead, I don't know why anybody ever thought that Randy Orton versus Batista at the main event of WrestleMania was ever going to be a good idea. I really don't. Now this is Falls Count Anywhere as well, so no disqualifications, no count-outs, pinfalls, submissions count anywhere in the world, but not on the moon. Because the referee's hand is not strong enough to go down. I don't know, I'm just making crap up as I go along now. Randy with that chair, swinging it and swinging it and swinging it before Triple H finally manages to get away from him. And the battle continues. These 2 guys really going back about 10 years, aren't we, from when this feud really happened. And since then, I've become more of a Triple H fan. I'm starting to understand what his role was back at the Attitude Era now. I used to think he was really boring, but now I understand it a bit more, and he is the ring general. He was the one who put on some of the best storytelling matches of the era, which he did as well against The Undertaker so forth the last few years at WrestleMania as well. Randy Orton I've become less and less and less interested in. If you've seen a couple of mine and PJ Toby's Shabby Talks where we talk about Jinder Mahal is the main one, we really, well, I really don't like him. In all fairness, that's all I can say. We really just don't like him. He's just become boring. I think his attitude is awful. Really, he literally has got the attitude of someone who's been handed everything on a silver plate his entire career and really does not appreciate what he's been given. And that just annoys me. It really does annoy me, but there we go. Hey-ho. We'll see what happens here in SWE. So far, he's got 1 loss at the moment. If Triple H continues this dominant, aggressive performance on the outside, he might get another. But Randy Orton throwing Triple H face first into the ring post, and again, just pinging his head off that post. That's not going to be a good situation for old Mr. Orton to be in there. Triple H, here we go. The return of the pedigree. Yep. If you're annoyed about the pedigree coming back, then please don't comment, because we needed it back, didn't we? And Triple H wins as well. Wow. Triple H wins, and Randy Orton now suffers his 2nd loss in a week, which is going to drop him down the rankings significantly. Triple H now back up to the 100 himself, but Randy Orton now down onto 90, means that he is going to be joint bottom, I believe, alongside Cactus Jack. I think he will. And Guerillas of Destiny will be down there as well with 2 losses. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And Bray Wyatt as well. It's not too much of a lonely place to be then, is it really? There's a few guys, and then the thing is, if you've got Bray Wyatt, you've got Randy Orton, Guerillas of Destiny. Maybe we'll have to do something to try and wrangle the ranking points back around, won't we? Try and maybe do a match between maybe Cactus Jack and Randy Orton to try and get one of those guys back up to a decent amount of points anyway. But it's now main event time. And here we go, it's finally main event time. Bret Hart versus Roman Reigns to become the #1 contender for the Throwdown Championship. And here we go. So, of course, this match is taking place here this evening because both these guys won triple threat matches at the Second City Throwdown pay-per-view. Of course, we saw Roman Reigns defeating both Rusev and Braun Strowman, and Bret Hart defeated, of course, as we mentioned in the previous match, Triple H and Randy Orton. Samoa Joe's here with a steel chair. Not quite sure what Joe is doing here with a steel chair. Oh, just completely wipes out Bret Hart with that steel chair. My God. Samoa Joe, what is he even doing here? Just sending Bret Hart now straight into the ring steps. And clubbing to the back of Bret with that steel chair. Joe just left Bret on the outside and Bret's back up on his feet. But Joe just now continuing the assault on the inside of the ring. And what is Joe... Is Joe trying to prove a point that he should still be in the main event picture here? He doesn't want to be... We know he's the number one contender for the... United States Championship, but evidently it looks like he doesn't want to give up on this main event picture, and he's making a statement here against Bret Hart. Oh, big kick to the chest. The problem is what situation, what condition is Bret Hart going to be in for his match against Roman Reigns here? Bret is down and out as Joe's now just taunting away in the corner, but I have a feeling he's not completely done, Joe. Joe taking Bret up onto that top turnbuckle. This assault by Samoa Joe's been brutal so far. Super backdrop. And Bret is laid out and Samoa Joe stands over the fallen Bret Hart. And he has definitely made a statement here this evening. And yes, unfortunately, Bret Hart has been checked on, and according to the doctors, he's in no fit state to compete here this evening. So Roman Reigns is going to win this match by a technicality, I suppose. So we're not going to give him any ranking points for it, but Roman Reigns is now technically the #1 contender for the Throwdown Championship. I know that's probably going to upset a few of you guys out there, but there's nothing much I can do. Although we have promised Bret Hart that he can have some retribution next week. Bret Hart will face off against Samoa Joe to try and get a little bit of retribution for what Joe has just cost Bret Hart here. I can't even get over what just happened, really. Joe obviously trying to stake his claim on the main event picture, although becoming the #1 contender for the United States Championship. As I mentioned earlier on, he feels like he should still be main event, and it's nothing against him putting him in that United States Championship match. I just thought that it'd be a good chance for him to get some gold, but there we go. That is the end of tonight's episode of Throwdown. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, then please do hit the like button. And of course, if you want to see some more, then hit that subscribe button as well. I've been Champion Gamer. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you all in a couple of days' time for our next episode of SWE Adrenaline.